Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're making a parallax scroll effect just like this one in Webflow. And in Webflow you do not require any sort of code or coding knowledge to do this. It's pretty much like Adobe XD but for the web in a sense. So without further ado, let's just get started. I will be doing more videos like this one, so go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Also, hit that like button. If we get this video to 100 likes, I will do another Webflow tutorial with more complex animations and more interactive elements as well. Once you're on the dashboard, you'll see all your projects here. For this new project, let's start a new project from here. Just click here and they'll ask you for various options here. I'm gonna go for the blank slate so that I can completely customize it without having to, have anything else. I'll just say, test. That's it. Create project. Making it pop. Webflow might take half a minute or two exploring sheets, tidying up. See, that's pretty awesome. You are greeted with this blank page, of course, with body written here because this is the body tag under which we will place everything else. You can even toggle between mobile view and tablet view and desktop view. That's pretty cool. To begin with, what we need to do is, first of all, go to this little icon here. It's called assets. And in the assets, we will need to drop certain files. I will create a folder for you guys to download down below so that you can get started. But for now, I have all the assets that I need right here. I have traced out the plane from an image on Unsplash, and I'll just place it here. I'll also bring all the extra elements that are required, also the wheels for the plane, and obviously the sky on the top. Once I've selected all these, I'll drag them out onto this dashboard here. And as you can see, everything is automatically uploaded. Now, I personally use remove image background, which is remove.bg, to actually remove background from that little plane that we have. I'll just show you quickly. I'll quickly upload the plane image here. It'll say preparing upload. Once it's uploaded, it'll automatically remove the background from the plane. As you can see, it's removed the background and you can quickly download it from here. Now that we have all the assets ready, let's get the structure in place. To get the structure ready, I'll click on this plus icon on the left. It says add elements, and I have all these various options of adding images, background, videos, sections, div blocks. If you're a web designer, you'll be familiar with all this, but if you're not, well, there's no issue in that. I'll drag this section box onto the body right here, and section has officially been placed right here on the top. Just for the sake of this project, we'll make sure that the width is 100%, yes, and height is of course 100% as well. And right here in the position, I will click on this drop down and select absolute, and also make sure that from the top it's 0 pixels or 0%, and from the left it's 0 as well. Now the first section is set up, so let's get everything inside the first section. As you can see, section has already been selected, and if I go down, I'll see this backgrounds section here, this backgrounds tab here, and inside this, if I click on image and gradient, there is this background image tag here, and I can choose any image that I want, any image from my uploaded images right here. So first of all, I like to upload this blue sky image. Oh, now these are being repeated because by default, images are set to repeat if they do not fill the entire area. So here, there is this size component. I can change this size component to cover, and voila, everything has been set up for us and it's covering the entire screen. That's perfect. Now that the background is ready, let's go ahead and place the plane in the middle. Now the plane can just be dragged from the assets panel here. If I just drag it and drop it anywhere on this section, it will automatically enter this section. And I'll select this HIDPI, which is high dots per inch. That means a large number of pixels, which will make it look even sharper. Now, while this image has been selected, I will go to the right, go to the properties panel on the right, and I'll say width. For this, I'll say 60%. This should do the trick. Perfect. Now, you can change the percentage value to pixels, EM, VM, or you can just set it to auto. But for now, we're going to work with pixels so that it works for all the screen sizes. And the Z index, I need it to be anywhere above 0. So I'll set it at 10. Z index is how high above is the image in respect to everything else in the frame. That's what it is all about. Now the plane is on the left and we need the plane to be in the middle. How do we do that? First of all, I'll go to this layers panel or navigator as they call it here, and in the section I'll just make sure that the section has been selected, and I will go to the right, scroll to the top of this properties window here, and click on this option. This is the flex layout option. If I click on this option, and I'll exit the navigator, and while this section portion has been selected, I'll click on this align center button in both the cases. So justify center and align center just for this example. And as you can see, the image is more or less in the center right now. Even if we go to the preview here, it's more or less in the center. If I want this to be, visually centered a little bit more, I can just select the image, and from this margin, I'll click on the 0 on the left, and I'll set it to, I don't know, minus 80 pixels, of course. So I'll just say px, and it's now more visually centered, as you can see. That is how we, adjust the margins or adjust the positions just that little bit. Now the plane has been set. Let's go ahead and adjust the clouds here. So I've already downloaded these cool PNGs from Google, and I'll just quickly go ahead and drag them inside the section, of course. And the image I'll set to high DPI, of course, and I'll just set the cross here. Now by default, it'll come in the center since the flex box has been set to center values. Now the cloud needs to be somewhere on the bottom right of this very plane. So what I'll do is go from static to relative in the position, and I want the position in the bottom right to be less. So I can just drag, as you can see, this icon from right to left, and it'll shift like this. And I'll just adjust it so that it's in the ideal situation right here. And to place it towards the bottom of this plane, what I'll do is I'll just set the 0% property, I'll just lower it so that it comes to the bottom right here. Of course, I want the cloud to be slightly bigger, so I'll just change the width to, I don't know, 50%. Should it do it? Oh, this is too big. 35% should do it. That's my, yeah, 35% is pretty good. So if I scroll down, just like we have in Adobe XD or any other software, we have this opacity in under effects. And the opacity I'll change to about 70%. Again, you can change this value only to percentage value. And I want this cloud to be above this aeroplane. So just like we did with the aeroplane, if we go to the top, there's this Z index under position. If I click on this Z index, I want this to be either 10 or more than 10. So in this case, I'll set this to 11. Now, since this Z value of the cloud is greater than the Z value of this plane, now it's above this plane. Now I want another cloud just like this, so I'll go to the images and I'll drag this other cloud as well. Now I'll set it to high DPI, of course. First of all, change the position of this, otherwise this cloud will just get dragged along, since this is now relative position and not absolute positions. Now, under position, I'll set relative. With relative, what I'll do is I will also change the Z index, I'll keep to about 2, which is less than the plane, of course. And the cloud opacity, I'll, of course, drag down and say 50% in this case. Now, I can't really touch this cloud now since it's behind the image. What I'll do is go to the, of course, navigator or the layers panel in this case, and I'll select the cloud, which is image 3 in this case. Change the width to, I'll say 50%. It's too big. 35% should do it again. Yes. And what I'll do is, to make it shift to the left a little bit, I will just click on this left position and I'll decrease it so that it shifts to the left, just like this. And for this cloud as well, I'll make sure that it shifts left to left a little bit as well. Now let's place the text, which is the title of our website, which is departure in this case. So I'll go to this plus icon, add element, and I'll go down and I'll say text block. I'll drag this text block to the middle right here, and everything's just changed here. We will fix that in a moment. First of all, we'll change this text and we'll write something like departure here in capitals, and we'll just drag out and delete everything else from this text block. And for some reason, I'm only being able to drag it out just a little bit, but we'll still keep on trying and deleting it. Perfect. Now everything is deleted, and as you can see, departure has been set just like that. We'll press escape, set this text block, and what we'll do is go down to position and change the position to absolute. This way it'll be placed right dead in the center. And I'll change the size of this text by going to typography section here. Change the size to, how about 150 pixels? That's very big. 120 should do it. Yeah, this is still pretty fair. And we'll change the font. We can change the font to anything that you like, and you can even add fonts. But for now, we'll just change it to something like Montserrat. And from normal, we'll change it to bold, which is 700, of course. And we'll change the color to a white. This white is a little too much. I'll reduce the opacity now. There is this A, which stands for alpha. Now, we'll change the alpha values to about 60%, of course, to about 60, which is again in percentage. And as you can see, it's reduced the opacity. But for now, I'll set it to 70. This has already started to look much, much better. Now, of course, this plane and everything else is set up. How do we create the scrolling effect now? For that, we will create another section. For that, we'll go to the navigator and select this body tag first. We want to make sure that the body is selected, since section cannot nest another section. Now we'll close this, and I'll go to this add elements. And from the add, I'll just click on section. Now, somewhere on the screen, it just placed section randomly, but we want it to be below this departure section. So in the properties panel on the right, I'll go to size and I'll set it to 100%, height to 100% as well. And from the position, I'll set it to absolute. If I hover over this, it says edit position top. I'll just click on this and I'll say 100%. Now, we are now being able to scroll this page and come to this section number 2. That is exactly what we want. In the section number 2, I will first of all give this a background, and I'll choose the image of this landing area or this runway so that the plane is basically landing. And just like we did previously, we'll change the size property to cover. As you can see, it's now covering the entire area. Now the section has been set up. We will go to the top and change the section's display to flex right here. And so that now we can place everything in the center. For this one, I will only place the text in the middle. See, arrival has been set up. We can adjust the position by selecting the text and going to the top to this position attribute and changing the position just by a little bit from here. Now, Punit, we've done all this. How do we do that cool parallax animation that you showed? Well, it's as simple as pie. What I'll do is first of all select this plane. If it's not being selected, I can always go to this navigator and select the image from here. And I'll go to this lightning icon on the top right, which says interactions. I'll just click on it. And without filling anything else, I'll go to this page trigger and I'll click on this plus. Now this plus has 4 options right here. It says page scrolled while page is scrolling. We want to select while page is scrolling so that it continuously detects our scroll position. and select action. I'll click on that and I'll say place scroll animation. That's as easy as that. And under scroll animation, I will change the smoothing to about 70%. That is what I did in the original. And I'll click on this plus icon on the top right here, and that'll add these keyframes to the mix. So what I'll do is I'll first select 0% and I'll select move from the drop down here. Webflow automatically allows me to add move positions for this image beginning to the end. Now the beginning position is supposed to be this default position here, but we need to set all these values at the bottom to about 0. That'll make sure that it starts from its original position, which is about here. And if I select this last keyframe here, I'll click 0 on all of these. And for this y-axis, what I'll do is I'll just drag this scroll bar to the bottom. And I'll make sure that this plane is ending up in the position that I want it to, which is more or less about this much. Now we can quickly preview this by clicking on this live preview option here. I'll toggle this. And if we're scrolling down, see how this plane is moving along with us? Now this plane is not really moving at a different pace, so as to say. So to change the pace, what I'll do is I'll change the beginning position a little bit. So I'll drag the Y position to the minus section and make sure this is above departure here. Now if we preview this and if we scroll down, see how the plane is kind of moving with us and it's changing pace as we move down. You can change this even more if I just drag this move value from 100% to say about 95%. Now if we preview this, it'll move in a completely different speed just by changing the move position just by a little bit. So the speed of the move is faster as we scroll. So if we preview for the last time, see how this plane is moving faster than what we are scrolling. Now this is exactly what I want. And I can add other values as well just by clicking on this plus icon right here. The start position, I can change it. I can change the rotate also a little bit. And this I'll set all the values to 0 for to begin with. And at the end at 100%, what I'll do is just add another keyframe to the end, just like that. And I'll change everything to 0, of course. And on the Z axis here, what I'll do is just rotate it a little bit, maybe 20, maybe in the minuses would do. And as you can see, the plane is now landing like this. So we can just adjust it to make it a little more subtle, just like this. And that's perfect. I also want these. Now, one more thing that we want to do with the plane is to change the filter on it so that it looks as if it's going into a darker zone. So I'll just click on this add button again and I'll say, I can either see opacity, but in this case, I'll change it to filter. And filter, any Photoshop filter, is able to change the effect of that image. In this case, it could be blur, brightness, contrast, or anything else. I want the brightness to reduce a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll set it to a little below 100, maybe 86%. That should do it. Now, I want the brightness to be 100% to begin with, but for the last key, for somewhere towards the last keyframe, I want this filter to change from 100% brightness. I'll just change it to brightness to say about 70% brightness. This is a little too dark, I guess. Maybe 80% should do it. Yeah, that's perfect. Now, both the filters had been set, the 0% value as well as the somewhat 80% value. That's perfect. I can add more filters and experiment with this, but for now I'll leave it like that. And if I come to the top, I can do the same thing for the clouds. Just select it, and inside these scroll actions, I'll just click on add and click on move. And automatically this cloud value, which is image 2, will be set up here. Now, again, I want this to be 0 pixels everywhere, but for about 95%, let's say, I want the movement to go down a little bit. So 0, 0, 0, And for the y-axis here, we'll just set this to, I don't know, 6500 pixel. That should do. To preview this, I'll just click on this toggle preview icon on the top left, which is an eye coincidentally, and I'll click on this, and once the page is loaded, if I scroll down, see how this cloud is scrolling at a slower pace than the plane right here, and the plane is now going down, and see how it becomes slightly dark as well when it's moving down, and it stops when it comes here. And if I start scrolling up, it'll then pick up with me, and it's still slower. You can of course experiment more with this, but for now this looks pretty damn cool. I hope you liked this video. Keep on watching, keep on liking, and I'll see you guys in the next video every Monday and Thursday. God bless.